Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Golden Boot. I tell you, it's like a dramatic, like pause. I don't even know. It's like a dramatic pause every time that gets done. Guys, what's going on? This is the Golden. This is the Golden.
We're the
Boot
Golden Goat.
The Golden Boot Podcast. I am excited. I'm one of your hosts tonight, George. I'm joined by Vandy, Chris, and Cody. And we are excited to get this thing kicked off tonight. I have no idea what's going on with Facebook. It's very strange. What's going on, guys? I'm excited to be here. Welcome in. If you are, Andrew said the Golden Boot. That's it. That's right. Make sure you join in. Look down here at the bottom. It'll tell you to like, share the stream, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter. Greetings from your living room. I love it. The Bolden Goot.
Sure.
Bolden Goot. Let's go. Look at this.
I have a bone to pick, George.
What do you have a bone to pick?
Where's your can of beans?
I don't know. I didn't get a
new
can of beans. I wasn't going to do that.
You don't have anything to prop in the background? Come on, man. The Snorlax was good.
I mean, you know what? Where is he? Somebody stole my Snorlax.
Oh, man.
I don't even see him, but dude, like, seriously, he was right there, and he's like, poofed. What the heck? What did you do, Chris? Did you steal it? Can Cam Coleman get it?
All right. Let me address this. It happens many, many times. You will see recruits wearing the gloves of schools they've visited and all this. They do it to troll the media. It doesn't mean anything. Cam Coleman literally could go anywhere in the country. Is he going to really stay and go to Auburn? I highly doubt it. Most kids want to go away. Benjamin Franklin, we had him on here, and he could have stayed in state and went to any of those schools. He wanted to get away from home. Yeah. I don't see Cam Coleman staying in the Auburn area.
So wasn't there video of Cam Coleman last week, and he had the Alabama gloves, and like the week before he had somebody else?
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. No, Sarah. He's not there. She just said he's under the view of the camera. No, he's not. Somebody stole him. I blame Big Ten backers. I think they busted in and took him. It means they have gloves on. So, and he says haters. Speaking of haters, I think this is the first time in, I don't know, 3 or 4 months that Larry Sunredding has even commented on this show, let alone watched it. So I don't even want to hear haters.
Larry Sunredding, he ruined fantasy football for everybody.
Did he?
Was
it collusion? I think it was
1,000% collusion. I mean, Colin got like 1 million views. Everybody agreed.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Bet you $10 I go in there and find him in 3 seconds.
Uncle G.
What's up, Uncle G? Uncle G. Yeah. Hello. Ella by Lily. Okay. Hi. Let's see. You'll never get it back, sucker. You did steal it. I knew it. Man, I'm excited tonight.
I actually heard somebody named Connor lives in Conway, or in Georgia. I'm so damn tired. I can't even say Missouri right.
Yeah.
But somebody named Connor came in
there. Sean, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to have you. We're doing great, man. We're just getting this thing kicked off. We got a lot of comments already. Everybody jumping up. Mm-hmm. Let me on, he says. Really? Let me on. No, you're in suspension. You're not getting on.
That is true. That is punishment. That's a shame. Yeah. Because I would have put Colin.
Andrew's always here supporting. He is. So let's jump right into it, gentlemen. I'm excited. We were Stone. So Chris, tell us why Stone could make it tonight. We were we were excited to have him on, but there was a last minute deal.
So yeah, we were going to have Stone Labanowitz on tonight. He runs FCS Nation Radio. He covers the FCS. He also knows a lot about the NAIA, Division II and Division III. We were going to bring him on tonight, and apparently somebody in his office got sick, and he got called into work, and he's having to cover a high school football game tonight, and he's not very pleased about it. However, I'm going to let Cody go ahead and introduce our very special guest tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
So our special guest tonight will be Mr. Colin Sutrick to come and chat with us. And actually, let's be real, he's going to teach us the ways of FCS football tonight, because we know enough about FCS, but we don't know all the ins and outs.
That's right.
And Colin knows a lot about it. So
that's it.
Let's welcome Colin to the screen.
Let's do it. Welcome in.
What is up, fellas?
What is up?
What's up, Colin? Let's do it. I'm excited.
I'm always glad to talk some FCS.
Yeah. So one, and you helped me out greatly by giving me the two biggest matchups earlier. But for somebody who does not know FCS at all right, doesn't know anything about it, give us like a brief synopsis of jumping on, of how FCS functions, how what to watch out for it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for FCS in general, I mean, FCS is the lower subdivision of Division One. Yes, it is still Division One. It's not Division Two. Many people refer to FCS as Division Two. It is still Division One. They still give out full scholarships. That is the difference between FCS Division Two. Is Division Two cannot give out full scholarships. They cannot. FCS, you can give full scholarships, but they don't have as many to give as FBS. So a lot of times, if they, a lot of their top guys, their starters can play and keep up with some of those Group of 5 schools. It's the depth that becomes an issue, right? If they start having to pull guys out, that's when these FCS schools start to get in trouble. It's very good football still. I love to watch FCS. I'm a graduate of the University of Delaware, which is an FCS program, storied FCS program. So I always enjoy talking to FCS. My dad is currently an assistant coach at an FCS school, Houston Christian, down there in the Southland Conference. So FCS is fantastic. They have their non-conference and conference schedule just like anybody else. The difference between them and FBS is, FBS was the football bowl subdivision because they played bowl games. The FCS was the football championship subdivision, and they had a playoff system, right? They had a bracket. They were one of the first to do it in Division One, right? That's where the bracket came from, and it's been plugging along. There's been a lot of different changes to it, but in its current state now, 24 teams get in. 24. You have a bunch of different conferences. I don't know the number off the top of my head. It's like 10 conferences get automatic bids. So if you win your conference, you're in the playoff. You get an automatic bid, right? The way that they do it is the top 8 get seeded. So they seed the top 8 teams, and those teams get a first round bye. Everybody else, they have a play-in game, or first round game, and generally they do not seed after the 8th seed, right? And so because of that, the NCAA is the one putting that playoff bracket together, unlike the FBS, where they have a separate committee, right? That college football playoff committee is separate from the NCAA. They don't have to take anything into account other than how did they perform, right? The FCS, that's deemed by the NCAA. So with the NCAA paying for travel and everything else that happens in these playoff games, they try to get as many bus trips as possible, right? They want the cheapest travel. And according to the NCAA bylaws, if there is a matchup that's less than 400 miles, that's considered a bus trip. They do not fly. They
Wow.
take a bus. So they try to get as many of those as they can every time that they are creating those first round matchups. And sometimes teams get screwed with very difficult first round matchups just because that's the way it is. But every once in a while, you get again, it's just sometimes those matchups, and they don't like to do rematches of regular season games in that first round either. So you got to take that away from it and then start to schedule those bus trips. So,
wow.
So I actually have a question.
Go ahead,
Colin.
Cody.
Since your father is a coach, with you talking about the bus, when he's like recruiting, like how far? Like, do they have like a radius they go recruiting, or is that wide open for them?
It's pretty wide open. It depends on the coaching staff, right? So it's really up to the head coach and the recruiting director. They'll usually work it out and go, okay, well, here's how we want to split it up. And some of these coaching staffs, what they do is they'll split up the area, right? So my dad's in Houston. They have different areas of Houston. They've kind of split it up, maybe counties, and they'll go, okay, this coach has this county and this county, and they'll do that way. And then they go outside the state. Maybe they give the Northeast to one coach and they give the South to another coach. And a lot of times when you're doing that, though, a lot of these coaches at FCS, D2, D3, they aren't taking out-of-state trips. It just doesn't happen. It's too expensive for the school. And to be honest, a lot of coaching staffs really don't recruit out-of-state at these lower levels. They don't see it's worth their time to do so. But there are schools, when you look at some of these schools, the South Dakota states, the North Dakota states, the Montana states, some of these schools do recruit out of state very well, right? And they're at the top of the FCS. And I don't think it's just a coincidence either. I know North Dakota State for years, they have a hotbed in Florida, right? In that Tampa area. Every single recruiting class they get, two to four guys from that Tampa area that recruit to North Dakota State or they commit to North Dakota State. And it's just how their roster, how they do their recruiting. It's just a hotbed for them down there. So some of these schools, you'll see them get those, Californias, the Arizonas, the Nevadas. They have these different hotbeds that they like to recruit. But a lot of times that out-of-state stuff is just reserved for the head coach and the recruiting director. And then these assistant coaches, they're all in the local high schools and everything.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So we know there's a couple big games this weekend. Can you give us an idea of what those two games are and how do you see them going?
Yeah, so the first game I'm going to bring up is my school. So Delaware has a very big rivalry game against Villanova. It's a top 10 matchup. It's called Battle of the Blue, right? Number 10, Villanova. I believe it's number 7, Delaware. Number 10, Villanova. Facing off. Delaware is hosting that game. Very storied rivalry. Been going on for quite a while. Unfortunately for my Blue Hens, it has not gone their way. Villanova's Villanova's really owned the Battle of the Blue the last 20 years or so, especially after winning. They won 8 straight from 2012 to 2019. Delaware this year is looking for its second win in the last 4 meetings. It's also looking for its first home win since 2004. So it's been a long time. Delaware, for whatever reason, Delaware just has a lot of trouble with Villanova in the last 20 years. When I was at Delaware, there was one year where Delaware was like second or third in the CAA. Villanova had their coach retired after the last season. A lot of the players on that previous team were seniors and had graduated, gone to the draft. And so they had a really young team with a new coach. And they really were like bottom of the CAA, and they came into Delaware Stadium and knocked Delaware off. And it was like, where did this come from? Like, if you look on paper, you look at film for the last couple of weeks, like Delaware should have won that game by 28, 30 points.
Right.
And for whatever reason, Villanova just was able to knock them off. But again, Delaware last couple of years has looked a little bit better in that rivalry. Looking for its second win in the last 4 meetings, like I said. Big game because this is the last week of the FCS. Number 10, number 7. One of those, the winner of this game is likely going to hold a seed. Like I said, 1 through 8 get seeded in the playoffs and get that first round bye. So it's a big game for playoff implications. You got to think the winner of the game will likely hold anywhere from a 6 to 8 seed in the playoff there. The losers will still get into the playoffs. I think both of these teams, win or lose, will get into the playoffs, but the losers definitely not going to have a first round bye. They're going to get matched up with probably like a Duquesne, a Lafayette, a Holy Cross, something like that, maybe even a Richmond. So that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of possible playoff matchups for whoever loses this matchup. The other game, though, and I will say, I really want it. I'm hoping, I'm going to pray Delaware wins that game. I think that they looked really good this year. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to come down to the wire, but I'm going to take Delaware there. But I will say that there is bias coming off of that. The other game, though, is the Brawl of the Wild. This is going to be the 122nd Brawl of the Wild, which for those who don't know is Montana versus Montana State. And for as bad or as much as these two teams hate each other, right, and the fan bases hate each other, they hate the name or argue over the name as much as they do the game itself. So I don't know if you've seen a story that came out a couple years ago by a newspaper editor. His name is Jeff Welsh. So he's a sports editor for Bozeman, Montana's local newspaper. And Bozeman is where Montana State is, right? And so he wrote an article a few years ago detailing what he came across when he first moved to Bozeman. He had been a local newspaper sports editor in Corvallis for Oregon State area, right? And so he covered the Civil War for at least a decade, and then he transferred to Bozeman's local newspaper. And in his preseason projections, right, he had Montana ranked higher than Montana State. And he figured, I've been in Corvallis. Oregon has been better than Oregon State most of the time I was there. I ranked them in my preseason projections higher than Oregon State, and it was always no problem. So, ranking Montana over Montana State, nobody should have a problem with that. Montana, at the time he did this, had won like the previous, I think they had won like 16 of the last 19 matchups in the game. And so they had really been coming on. And the next morning after his preseason projections were published, he had multiple voicemails telling him that any Bozeman establishment that he was going to walk into from now on, he better keep an eye out and he better face the door because he's not going to know who's going to come in there and with what kind of weapons they're going to come in there with, right?
Right.
They take it serious, don't they?
Oh, they do take it seriously, yeah. He brought a writer with him from Corvallis. This writer went home at the end of the day after those projections were published. That writer went into his apartment home, right? He found parts of an elk carcass covering all over his bathroom. So somebody had broken into his apartment and smeared elk carcass parts all over his bathroom. Right.
Okay.
So most outsiders, and when he's talking about the name of the rivalry specifically, right? So to most outsiders, it's known as the Brawl of the Wild. But for Montana State fans, they refer to it as the Cat Grizz game because Brawl of the Wild was actually coined by a local newspaper writer for the Missoula newspaper, which is where Montana is. And they can't give anybody from Missoula or from the University of Montana any credit. So they call it the Cat Grizz game. So Montana fans say, well, they insist that if you're going to call it the Cat Grizz game, then it should be considered the Grizz Cat game because Montana Grizz have dominated the rivalry since the mid-1980s. So they need to come first, right? So there's a lot of contention, not even just over the game, but over what to call it. And, I mean, these two fan bases absolutely hate each other. I mean, think of the worst, the biggest rivalry you could think of in FBS and double it, right? Like these two fan
Wow.
bases cannot stand each other. Missoula, Bozeman, they hate each other. They're constantly fighting over the games. These games get crazy. Some of the biggest games in the FCS happen in this Brawl of the Wild. And this game is going to be really big. Top 4 matchup. You got number 4, Montana State, traveling to number 3, Montana. It's going to be crazy game. Montana State is the best way I can explain the way that they play football is Penn State. Look at Penn State, right? They're a team that wants to play good defense and they want to run the football, but they can't really throw the ball, right? That's basically what Montana State does, and they do it really well, right? They want to they play good defense, they want to run the ball. Their offensive line just takes over ball games. So that's going to be a key matchup in this one. Who is Montana State's offensive line just going to take over this game, or is Montana's front seven going to put a little bit of pressure on them, bottle up the run game, and force Montana State to throw the ball? On Montana's for offense, right? Montana State, again, they really don't do well throwing the ball. So they can't catch up in a lot of games, right? So Montana has to start fast. They got to throw the ball. They got to take some shots downfield. Montana State, unfortunately, their defense, it really is not catered to defending the deep ball. So Montana can get a couple deep shots in early, get a good lead on Montana State. Montana has a good shot at winning this game. In terms of predictions, I'm taking Montana State. I think that, again, Montana's good, but I don't think their passing game's as good enough to take get that fast start. So I'm going Montana State. I think their offensive line is just going to eat up this Montana defense. It'll be a close one, but it's going to be like a 10-point game in Montana State's favor.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, so I started some comments in the and start some questions in the comments. First question, which comes from Sean Spencer: is Delaware where Joe Flacco went?
It is, yes. He transferred from Pittsburgh, went to Delaware. Yeah, definitely a storied alum at Delaware.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's your answer,
yep.
Sean. Sarah, my wife, is Gardner-Webb still FCS?
They are, yes. They are still FCS, and they're actually projected. So, again, with the FCS playoffs, this is something that people do projections all the time for this. Yeah. One of the places I like to go to is collegesportsmadness.com. If you haven't heard of it, go check it out. They do a great job projecting the brackets for FCS. They actually project Gardner-Webb to make the playoff this year.
There you go. Well, that's her alumni. That's why she's asking that. So
gotcha. Yeah, they're still FCS.
Good deal. And then Sean has another question. How good was JMU when they were in FCS?
They were fantastic.
They were fantastic. I mean, getting that JMU matchup was crazy, right? They played every game fantastic, superbly, right? Yeah. I remember playing. They were in the same conference as Delaware, so I got to see them quite often. The games that they played against Delaware, for whatever reason, Delaware always played JMU tough. That was probably one of their toughest matchups every year, and it always seemed to be when Delaware played the hardest. So those matchups were always 3, 7, 10-point games. It was very, very crazy games. But JMU, fantastic program. I loved watching their matchups against North Dakota State, against Sam Houston State, South Dakota State. Just great games.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Go ahead, Chris.
So I actually have a question. You know, we know all the names: North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana State, Furman, Delaware, all those big names. Can you tell me who is going to be the 2023 incarnate word from what they did last year? Just come out of nowhere and end up making that deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between that and between this year and Incarnate Word last year, Incarnate Word ended up being ranked, right? They were seeded. They got the first round bye. I don't know if anybody who's going to be seeded is going to come out of nowhere, really. Maybe a South Dakota. But even then, the last couple of years, people have said South Dakota kind of underperformed, at least underperformed. But when I'm looking at some of this, I mean, I'm on College Sports Madness. I'm looking at kind of the projections. And some of the teams, I mean, Western Carolina could make a nice run. They're a team that kind of came out of nowhere this year. They won't be seeded. They'll have a first round matchup, but they could make a little bit of a run. They're a pretty good, solid team there. I wouldn't be shocked to see an Albany or I mean, I would love to see Delaware make a run for it. Albany also from the CAA. They're a team that came on pretty late in the season. I think that they have a possibility to make a run. They're starting to put it together the later in the season we go. So it wouldn't shock me to see them put something together here for the playoffs and make a little bit of a run.
Awesome. Chris, did you see that comment that said "wake up"?
I did. I mean,
Michael's calling you out. You want to tell everybody why you're so tired?
When you work 117 hours from Monday of last week and have only had one day off in that period, that's a lot of hours. When you're 55 years old and used to working 40 hours a week, that's a lot of work.
And I know we talked some Delaware stuff. Again, I went to Delaware, but I did not grow up in Delaware. I didn't grow up a Delaware fan. Again, I grew up in Washington State across the country, so I didn't even know that Delaware was even a school until probably like 2 years before, probably like 10 years ago. But somebody who does know a little bit about Delaware, I know Hunter's sitting in the background there. He knows the history of Delaware, what Delaware is as an FCS program.
Yeah, let me. I hear him back there. Let me see if I can get him out here.
Hey, sorry, I'm on my way to. I'm on my way to downtown Disney here to see the Christmas stuff. But
downtown Disney.
Yes, we're going to Disneyland right now. So Delaware football, legendary school. I would argue that if they were FBS, they'd have the same amount of facilities. Their facilities are just as good as any ACC school. It's amazing that they're still at the FCS level. But some guys that Colin probably didn't even mention is Rich Gannon. You guys remember Rich Gannon, the Raiders quarterback?
Oh, yeah.
He played football for Delaware. He actually played with my father. My father was a little older than him, but he played with my dad. There's some really good players that played at Delaware.
Pops. Can't forget Pops. Mike Adams. Mike Pop Adams.
Yep. Bile Nichols is playing right now for the Raiders. Delaware football is interesting because I know everybody seems to want to talk about Michigan right now, but the Michigan. So what happened is Dave Nelson was a football coach at Michigan back in the 1920s or 30s, and he took. He went to Delaware and became their head coach, and he took the winged helmet and the colors to Delaware and made it basically a 2.0 Michigan. And then Tubby Raymond, who was also a Michigan coach, he coached baseball at Michigan, and also was a football coach. Back then, a lot of football coaches actually coached two sports, which is interesting. Tubby Raymond, who's a Hall of Famer, is one of the most winningest coaches of all time in all FBS, FCS, Division II, Division III. He came from Michigan, and then he kind of started the wing tee, as you guys, I'm sure you're familiar with the Delaware wing tee. I know Chris probably knows all about that.
Yeah.
The wing tee, baby. And it's Delaware.
Got some high school teams here in Tennessee that still play that.
We played it. We did it. So funny is I went to a school called Hodson Votech, and the football coach, my football coach, he's my mentor, he's one of my best friends, and he was on our game day show.
Mm-hmm.
He brought the wing tee, and the winged helmet to that high school as well. So we had the Delaware helmet, the winged helmets as well. So a lot of history in the FCS. I enjoy it. I grew up with it. Chris grew up in Iowa and probably a Hawkeye fan, and a George, you grew up as an Arkansas fan, and we grew up as Blue Hen fans. In Delaware, that's the major school. And it back in the day, Delaware Stadium was one of the biggest stadiums in the FCS, 22,000 or whatever. So, as a kid, I thought, man, this is big time football. And not until I really moved out to California and I went to, a USC game and UCLA, then I realized that, man, there's just such a big difference between the FCS and the FBS when it comes to, tailgating and stuff like that. But yeah, it is an interesting topic. The FCS is pretty fun. And me and Colin, we used to do road trips up to Stony Brook. And one time we went and saw Stony Brook and Delaware play, and it had to have been -3 degrees up in Long Island that day.
Stony Brook's not allowed to be
cold.
Yes, cold. And then I think the worst game I've ever been to with the weather-wise is an FCS game, playoff game, when we went down to, it was a first-round game or quarterfinal, and it was at James Madison, and it was just sleeting, snowing, raining, thunder, all at the same time, downpour. It was awful, and it was very, very cold. So hard playing there in Harrisonburg this time of the year.
So you mentioned some of the facilities in the FCS. I'll just be honest with you. Vanderbilt, I mean, they seat 48,000, but it's just a stadium. That's all there is to it. One of my favorite places to see was James Madison. You drive by on the interstate and you look down, and the facilities are so nice there. They've really done well, and they've represented well moving up too.
Stadium is huge. It's funny that you say that, Chris, because the stadium fits about, I believe, like 40,000, maybe 35,000, something like that, which is crazy because it was like that during the FCS years. But, if you actually been to the stadium, one side is basically like Ohio State Stadium, and the other side is still like a high school stadium, bleachers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever been there before. So if they do what they did to the one side, it'd be as big as Penn State Stadium, or almost.
Yep.
So,
well,
even having
before,
the bleachers there.
Go ahead, Chris.
Even having the bleachers on that one side, it's still, they've got really nice facilities with the clubhouse and everything attached to the stadium. It's pleasing to look at, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me that I know if you guys listen to the Pat McAfee show this morning, he had Kirk Signetti on, and the NCAA has really, really missed an opportunity here to allow those guys to play, in the bowl game. I mean, they got the facilities, they did their time, they went to the FBS, and they could single-handedly win the Sun Belt. James Madison's done a really great job, but if you ask former Delaware players, they get so angry because if you guys want to know the truth, Delaware, it was much more ahead in facilities and history than JMU.
Yeah,
it would drive my dad crazy when college game days there and not in Newark, Delaware, which is really the capital of the world for FCS tailgating. But
you took the words right out of my mouth, Hunter, because I was about to ask you guys. Being FCS guys, JMU moving on. I mean, what are your thoughts on the NCAA's decision to keep him out?
Colin, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with it at all. I mean, I understand that when they first made the rule, it was to keep teams from jumping up and then jumping back down, or jumping down and then jumping back
Right.
up, right? That was why they did that. You're not seeing that anymore. You're not seeing teams jump up and then jump back down, right? At least not within that short of a time span. If they jump up, they're going to be up there at least 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Then they may jump back down if financially they can't handle it. But we're not really seeing that, right? And so I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed anymore. I think it needs to be looked at. I think it needs to be adjusted. But again, just like the government, it's going to be slow, and it's going to be way longer than it should be.
I think overall the rule is bad, right? So I think the rule is good in some situations. Like, when I talked to my dad's a bigger FCS guy. He played at Delaware. He was on their 1981 or 82 national championship runner-up. They lost to Eastern Kentucky. And he tells me all the time, the rule is good for like a Sam Houston State who is struggling. Casey Keeler is taking the time to build the team and everything. But I will say this, in the NCAA's defense here, and I think Chris may agree with me on this, is that if you do it for JMU, you then create a snowball effect.
Right.
Because you also got top Tallerton State, who's an FCS program, who also is asking for. They're a little bit morons, because they're asking for the NCAA to consider them as an at-large team to be in the playoff, but they're not even going to be considered even if they were an at-large team. So, I think the issue is when the NCAA sets a precedent, then it's like, for instance, like look at this thing about Michigan, right? Like, so Michigan is in trouble right now, as you guys all know. But the NCAA set a precedent 10 years ago with USC when one of their boosters helped Reggie Bush's parents get in there, and they gave them it was 7 years worth of sanctions. So now the NCAA is in this position 10 years later now where, look, this Michigan thing is coming up. They have set a precedent where now the sanctions going to have to be either equal or more severe than what they did to USC. Same thing could happen if they just let JMU play in a bowl game, because then every school that's, you got Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State.
Well, and you also have to take the coaches into it as well, because if they allow teams to go to the postseason now, then a lot of these fan bases who are quick to turn on coaches, right? Maybe your school makes a jump from FCS to FBS, and this fan base is expecting you to reach the playoffs or even a conference championship game, right? In your first season after your jump up.
Puts the pressure on the coaches.
You're putting more pressure on coaches to get to have this team compete right away.
Right.
Because Casey would have been fired Casey has one win, I think, right now, right? So if it was a normal situation, most coaches, other than, sorry, Chris, if you're at Vanderbilt, you're going to get fired. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go 1-12, whatever. But that rule protects KC for them to be able to. And let me just say this to you guys: what the situation that Casey Keeler is in down in that area, Texas, is absolutely hard. Name me a Texas college other than Texas Tech, Texas, and A&M that have done any good in recruiting down in that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? They have to battle it out with, like, when has North Texas ever been good? When UTSA had one good season and it was really good, but other than that, they've been trash. So Casey has a really uphill battle to compete with recruits down there. That's why that rule is in place. It's good for programs like that. But the issue is, JMU, I'm hearing now the Attorney General from Virginia is going to be filing a lawsuit against the NCAA. But to be honest with you, it's in the bylaws of the NCAA. There's no legal standing, to be honest.
Wow.
And to that point, there is one way that JMU can get in the bowl game.
Right.
Yep.
And people are missing that metric of it. if there's not enough 6-win teams, they're in. So I don't think all is lost by not getting a waiver.
So the question that I would have to ask Chris and you guys, because this is more an FBS thing, if there's not enough teams to make the bowls and JMU becomes bowl eligible, does that mean JMU goes to a New Year's Six game?
No. I don't think they would do.
No, I don't think they would be. They would be invited to a New Year's Six. Yeah.
Interesting. But, do you think JMU would declare a national championship if they went out?
Well, they're not delusional.
I don't think they're UCF. No. I don't think they're. I don't think we're thinking that kind of short bus.
When we make our when College Football Dawgs does its national championship voting, I'm sure we'll get a vote from Vandy Chris on the national championship team. We're going to have to honor that vote too.
Yeah.
No, I'll play by the rules. The winner of the playoffs is a national champion. The deal with UCF.
I think they would do damage. Dude, I think they could go up against anyone. I'd put them up against anyone.
That defense is
pretty good. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Absolutely good.
A lot of people won't agree with that, but you can play fundamentally sound defense. It don't matter where you're at. If you're fundamentally sound and make good decisions, you can play against anybody.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And JMU has proven that time in and time out. An FCS program that has done really well that transitioned to the FBS that we don't even talk about is Boise State. I mean, Boise State State is another program that was in the FCS back in the 80s and through the 90s. Did really, really well and, won Fiesta Bowl. And, the funny part is I thought Boise State should have claimed a national championship rather than UCF, to be honest with you. Some of those Boise State teams probably could have won the national title in a playoff. Another team that, is struggling right now that did really well in the FCS, I believe they were in the national championship in the FCS, is UConn. UConn did really well in the FCS, and then they had that 1 year when they went to the Fiesta Bowl. So there's been teams that have done really well going to, from the FCS to the FBS. Marshall being one of them. Marshall was a old-time national championship caliber team. Delaware used to play them. My dad said they had the worst fans ever. Chad Pennington, Randy Moss. I mean, some really great players from Marshall, another school that is successful at that level. But I really believe JMU is the next Boise State. And I think they have the opportunity to be bigger than that. I'm even going to go as far as predicting that they will be out of the Sun Belt by 2030. I think they're going to be in the Big Ten, the ACC, or somewhere like that. I don't think they're going to be in the Sun Belt very long. They are very, very good. Their facilities, like Chris said, are over the top. Yeah, they're good, man.
So with Virginia Tech lagging a little bit the last few years, how big of an issue is it for JMU to come in here and have the success? What kind of damage is that going to do to Virginia Tech?
You're seeing it already.
I was going to say they're
Old Dominion. Look at what Old Dominion did. Old Dominion's another one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be an interesting one. Is Old Dominion is another wild card in this. Like it's funny.
Right.
Like
it's funny. Like, and he has entered the transfer portal. We don't have that here, but he has entered the transfer portal. Well, I'm sure he probably pulled in at Disneyland, but anyway, go ahead, Chris.
He was talking about some great players at the FCS level.
Yeah.
I went to my first FCS game at Chattanooga.
Okay.
Yeah.
They played Alcorn State.
It's where the national championship for FCS used to be held, too.
What year did you go to that game?
I went the year that Steve Nair
Nice.
had 800 yards in total offense in one game, and Terrell Owens was on the other side of the field.
Yeah,
it was that was one of the craziest games I've ever attended.
Sean says, "What about my Liberty Flames?"
They deserve a shout out. They've moved up and done well.
Yeah.
Now, Liberty is a team that legitimately could get to the New York Six.
Yep.
Right.
Now, I've been projecting them to make it for the last 2-3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Because if they continue to win out, they will be the highest G5.
Well, because I believe that SMU takes down Tulane in the American Conference Championship game.
Too, actually.
And so then you're looking at 2 or 3 loss American champ, or you have a 10-0 Liberty, or you know who else are you looking at? A Sun Belt champion who isn't JMU. You know what I mean? That's the thing with the Sun Belt champ is whoever wins that championship, you're always going to have that little asterisk next to it because JMU went undefeated in league play.
Right.
Right. Like that's the thing. Like, how can you put a Sun Belt champion as the New Year's Six representative and not have it be James Madison? So
I don't know.
I really don't think that they end up putting a Sun Belt team in there. I like I said, I think Tulane is the only option for the American right now, and I think they take a loss in the championship game. Like, who does that leave? Are you putting in a MAC champion, MAC Toledo? I mean, the one-loss Toledo team who barely lost to Illinois by a last-second field goal. I mean, that's a potential. But if you're looking at a 12-1 MAC champion Toledo or a 13-0 Conference USA champion Liberty, I'm going to go with the Liberty one there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, Colin, thank you so much for coming on and enlightening us with all of your FCS knowledge.
Yep.
My pleasure.
We're looking forward to it.
I enjoyed it.
And it's really, really good, really interesting. And I'm sure we'll get to hear about all the results that happen and hopefully catch them. Are there any of these games televised?
A lot of them are ESPN Plus. I know the CAA has Flow Sports. I know that they're for a couple of conferences. I think Big Sky might be Pluto TV or something like that. So
okay.
I mean they have their own channels again, just like any other conference. They negotiate rights to their games, so they're out there. But you gotta pay for a subscription to most of them. So
I feel you there. Well, Colin Sutrick, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good show.
Dawgs. Yeah, where can we find you? Where can we locate you? Where can anybody come on if they want to be a writer with College Football Dawgs? How do they get a hold?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me at College Football Dawgs. I should have an article coming out in the next couple of days, actually, about one Caleb Williams. A little teaser there. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at New England Fan 12. And, we're always looking for more podcasting talent or some writers for College Football Dawgs. If you're interested, feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter or send us an email at info@collegefootballdogs.com.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Thank you so much,
right,
Colin.
thanks, guys.
We'll see you later,
Thank
man.
you, Colin.
Appreciate you. Well, boys.
All right.
You guys, y'all are looking like you're getting tired. And you need a jolt.
Well, I mean, I'm not getting tired, but I could always use a pick-me-up. Cody, I think you have one. Go ahead.
I think I can help you guys out. Some Rogue Energy. So everybody, Rogue Energy has sent me a package, and I've been testing them out this week for work. And on their can, it says it's 0 sugar, natural caffeine. It gives you intense focus and extreme energy. And I'm not just saying this because it's technically an ad, but I've been drinking these suckers before work every day, and I've gotten more done this week than I have in the last month probably. And it has been amazing. The flavor is very good. It's definitely tastes better than Red Bull. And I used to be a Red Bull guy. I was what was the apple flavor they had that was a special edition was good. I like the Juneberry a lot, but I actually really, really like Energy a lot. It's just so tasty. Yeah. And I have to say that after giving them a try, I'm very proud that they're one of our sponsors because it's a very good product. I highly recommend it. So all you got to do is go to rogueenergy.com, use promo code Golden Boot to save 10%. They're starting their Black Friday sale early right now. And
I saw that, Colin. Thank you.
With the Black Friday sale starting, you can go in there and save even more. And they also have the powders to make your own energy drinks, and it honestly saves you a lot of money because energy drinks like what $3-4 a can usually at the gas station. So I say rogueenergy.com, 10% Golden Boot, baby.
Awesome. Well, and on that fact, we'll hear from them here in just a moment. But real quick, Facebook's doing something weird. We can't figure it out. We're going to take a few-minute break here to try and collect ourselves, figure out what's going on. But first, we'll hear from Rogue Energy, and we'll be back shortly as soon as we get ourselves collected here. So just stay with us. And it's let me be able to get that out of my throat. It is very important, guys. Very important for you to like, share, follow the stream if you can. Share it with whoever. Because when Facebook acts up like this, we don't know what's happening, what's not happening. So definitely, I have no idea why it's doing this either. But definitely share it and comment and just let us know you're here and all that kind of stuff. It'll help us out tremendously. So we're gonna go on a break. So just share, like, follow, whatever you need to do. Get this out as quickly as possible. We need your guys' help tonight as we're trying to figure out on what's going on. So we're going to hear from Rogue Energy, and we'll be right back in a few moments.
Yo, what's going on? This is Jacob Hester, former LSU running back, here to tell you about a brand new college football podcast, the Golden Boot Podcast. Give it a listen, give it a try, give it a follow. They're going to work hard to be your new favorite podcast.
You're listening to the Golden Boot Podcast. Stay golden.
Right, we are back. I'm finally starting to see a little bit of improvement. I don't know what happened earlier. Back on the Golden Boot Podcast. What's going on, everybody? I don't need to keep my comment up there anymore. We are back. Let's get into some icebreakers. We learned all about FCS that I think we all learned a lot of that. That was a really good segment. So let's get into our icebreakers. All right, there we go. I had to wait for it. I saw a little microphone in the way. All right, so here we go. Icebreakers. Now, if you have followed us before, if you've watched the show before, this is where we scour the internet to find anything and everything that we think you need to see. So first off, here it is. The holidays are coming up, right? We've got Thanksgiving coming in next week. And of course, this little number absolutely is on everybody's minds. I swear, it's like the door on Halloween closes. You have from Halloween to Thanksgiving, and that song. It's like there was literally a. There's JQ. There he is. I was wondering where you were at, man. It was a. I swear, does she just hibernate all year long and is frozen solid in ice? And then somebody Sarah says, careful. She's been defrosting for months. Yeah, exactly. I think she's in a freezer somewhere all year long. They put her in this like cryogenic freezer thing and then just thaw her out right after Halloween and get her. And then she just comes in right at the nick of time. And we have to hear All I Want For You Is. You can't play that. It'll be copyright. Don't do it. Don't do it. But that's it. Yeah. So yeah, All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey. That's what I hear in every store coming to you. Go ahead, Chris.
So let me make a recommendation real quick. If you're having trouble on Facebook viewing us or you're having problems tonight, we also have Twitter at Golden Media Podcast. You can go watch us there if you want to. The problem with that is we won't be able to see your comments. However, but if you go on Twitch, come on, Cody, you're supposed to say Twitch, please.
Twitch, please. Twitch, please.
If you go on Twitch, we are live on Twitch as well. We can see your comments from Twitch. So if you're having trouble on Facebook being able to view us, yes, go ahead and check out those other streams. We're also on YouTube. But yeah, go check out our other streams if you're having trouble on Facebook with us. But to your point about Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
About 5 or 6 years ago, a version of a song came out called Little Drummer Boy.
Sorry,
and that version, in my opinion, it's the best version of Little Drummer Boy ever.
Mm-hmm. I've heard it.
But my Facebook, my feed, every other post is something about For King and Country doing Little Drummer Boy live. So, yeah, that's another one.
Wow. Well, and so the holidays are upon us, gentlemen. So I'm sure we'll be seeing more of that. We do have some breaking news. We absolutely have some breaking news tonight. Some pretty heavy news. Joe Burrow is out for the season with what looks to be a torn UCL. We don't know that for certain. I watched it last night. He fell awkwardly, got tackled on his throwing hand, and the very next throw was like a lame duck. Like he couldn't even do anything with it. He was on the sideline. The ball went maybe a half a yard in front of him. Couldn't grip the ball, can't grip the ball. It has been confirmed today. Doctors say he has torn a ligament in his throwing hand and will be out for the remainder of the season.
So there's more to this. There is more to this.
Okay.
So there's a video that came out that actually showed Burrow the day before the game wearing a cast on his hand. And another thing is Barstool president Dave Portnoy is filing a lawsuit because he put $100,000 on the game, and he's filing a lawsuit based on the fact that it was not reported that Burrow had an injury. And if it would have been reported, he would not have put said money.
Whoa.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Whoa. Holy cow.
Yeah, he is not very happy.
I don't blame him.
He's even worse. So.
Now I'm telling you, we all baseball guys here.
Yeah.
We know what pitchers look like.
Mm-hmm.
And when he threw that pass, and the first thing he did was grab his arm, and then he started clenching that hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We know as baseball guys what that is.
Good Uncle Tommy right there.
So they can say what they want to, that it was the tackle where he fell weird. I don't believe that for a minute.
And let's be real, too, though. If that is the injury, he's probably not playing next season either.
Yeah. It's
because it's a
he had it again. He also claims Michigan didn't cheat and cause others to lose money. Poor guy. Yeah.
Poor Dave.
I mean, it's just he had a problem with, I guess, his ankle or his leg or calf. I think he had a calf problem for the beginning of the year. Guy can't catch a break.
So the question is, at what point do you say Joe Burrow's just injury prone? It's not as
going to. He
because
is.
We've seen other quarterbacks play behind worse offensive lines than that, and they stand up and take a beating.
Look, I love Joe Burrow, but I fully agree. I think at this point you have to say it. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play, and obviously there's some bias there. But I mean, we saw his 2019 season. He comes in the NFL, and he did fantastic pretty much instantly. But these injuries are really starting to stack up on him, and obviously he's not a complainer, a quitter, or anything like that. I mean, the guy, he would probably, obviously it showed if he physically could, he would have played through that. But, he's starting to become like Odell Beckham, unfortunately, where these injuries just keep happening. And honestly, he's starting to look like a bad investment for the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say that because he is the answer at quarterback for them. But
he is.
Until you get a better offensive line and have him fully healthy and made of glass, until, give him some milk or something. I don't know. But
I don't know. It's not as bad as Carson Wentz. That man could step out of the grocery store and shatter an ankle or something. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he had
the weirdest thing.
Carson Wentz would get run over by a shopping cart.
Yeah, he had his own permanent room at a hospital, I'm pretty sure, because he
had a sprained ligament when he came out of the womb. Let's not beat around the bush. The man was just injury every second. Moving on, the Michigan scandal has gotten so weird. In fact, this graphic proves it. It has now come out. NCAA presented Michigan evidence that points to a booster named Uncle T, as having partially funded the scouting scheme, and an assistant coach now fired Chris Partridge as attempting to destroy computer evidence. Sources tell Dan Witzel. And if you look, I want to take the banner down just for a second. It all goes back to Uncle T. I love this movie. If you've never seen that movie, that's one of the best parts of that whole movie.
That's not a movie, right?
Well, a show, whatever it is.
I was about to say, It's Always Sunny.
What is Sunnyside? Yeah. It's one of the best episodes I've ever seen.
I love it. Absolutely.
The whole time he thinks he's been sending stuff to the right floor, and he's just been sending.
So funny. You know, and I will say too, though, with Ross sharing this, Ross doesn't share false information.
No.
Right.
It's there's some I mean, I know we can't jump to conclusions until proven guilty. I get that. But there is just too much smoke for there not to be fire here, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm jumping to the now at this point.
So I'm all about punishing Michigan after the investigation is over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that. But as you said, Ross Dillinger doesn't post false information.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what he posted a week ago, that evidence and text messages have been turned over to the NCAA that show Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue were involved in an in-person scouting scheme, and all three teams had all of Michigan's plays for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to punish Michigan for in-person scouting, and say Purdue took scouting reports from the Ohio State coaching staff, that is in-person scouting. No way you can look at it differently. You got to get them all, not just one.
So what? Hey, go back to that Big Ten backers comment real quick.
Yep.
Okay, so the Jay Harbaugh thing. So there was actually an article released earlier. Is it earlier this week or end of last week? And they did an interview with him, and they tried to pull some stuff from him, and he gave the politically correct answer and really was, pleading the whole time. But he kept saying like he was proud of his brother for how he's handling this and all this stuff. And when I'm reading this, I actually had typed up an article because I was like, this is stupid. But I ended up deleting my article because I was just like, you know what? I'm not touching it yet. I'm going to wait for something to happen. But the more I was reading his comments, I'm like, I feel like he knows something here.
Yeah.
And him being involved does not surprise me at all.
No.
So I wanted to touch on Sarah's comment here for just a minute. Is it possible for the NCAA to shut down the program at Michigan for a scandal like this? Well, here's the thing. Yes, it is possible. They've done it before against SMU back in the 80s. They gave them what is called the death penalty. And then when they revived the program, it took them years to get back to having a competitive football team. And the NCAA went on record at that time and said they will never do that to another program again. So I don't look for any death penalty in this. Are there going to be sanctions? Probably so, because let's face it, what's coming out looks like Michigan was guilty, whether Harbaugh knew or not. I'm the one that I say wait until all of the investigation is complete and see where it leads. Punish everybody.
Yeah.
Don't turn this into the Alabama situation in Memphis, where every school in the SEC except for one was involved in buying players out of Memphis.
Right.
And a specific school was given immunity to testify to bring down another school. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Go get everybody.
Right. Well, and there'll be more to come on that. I mean, but it just keeps getting weirder and weirder, and we just keep sharing the stuff. So,
and another thing too that happened today was, Blake Corum's company, that LLC that he had with Connor Stallions, that BC2 housing, got shut down officially today.
Yeah.
And there was more stuff that came out yesterday about the NCAA and how they targeted Iowa and Iowa State in the betting scandal, and in their own statement said 57% of all college athletes are involved in betting, but they targeted Iowa and Iowa State for this. Don't do that.
That's weird.
Treat everybody equal.
Interesting. The NCAA will NCAA. All right. On to sources at Ted Lasso is interested in taking the A&M job. Reminder, he left college football to pursue a career in the Premier League, but has since been taking a break for the past 6 months.
The question is,
I say go for it.
Family back.
Is it who?
His family. He essentially lost his family, and that's why he moved to England.
I know, right?
Get away from the drama. So I'm like,
I don't know.
I love the show, by the way. It's like one of my favorite shows.
Love the show. Absolutely. Yeah, this here, we were talking a little bit about it. The NCAA postseason waiver requests for James Madison, Jacksonville State, and Tarleton State were rejected today. NCAA Division I Board Administration Committee made the final decision, which echoed the other 3 committees. And then you have James Madison, National Communists against Africa.
So in that, people are missing that portion of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the NCAA. They broke it up. They let 4 different committees look at this. And all 4 committees came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
So, again, JMU is going to be in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be enough 6-win teams.
Right.
So, there is a silver lining in that there's no waiver, but they're still going to get in.
Right. There you go. Yeah, and we talked about that earlier, with it being a 6, not enough 6-win teams, then they would automatically get in. So I get that. So moving on. Coach O. I love this because if you read down here at the bottom, reminder that no one is living a better life right now than Ed Orgeron. Not only is he recently remarried and getting $17 million from LSU, now he's doing shirtless ads for Roback Men's Apparel. I mean, really, it honestly looks like his head is on another man's body, but that is absolutely him.
And if you can find the video of him, like the actual commercial, it's worth watching. It is.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. So, he's like boxing, but intentionally misses because he doesn't want to like hit it too hard. Yeah, it's comedy.
So let me remind you, there is one other person that's living that kind of life that Coach O is living, and that's Bobby Bonilla, who every year gets an $11 million paycheck just to sit in his living room and watch TV.
Well, now it's fixing to be Jimbo Fisher with his $26,000 a day that he's going to be getting from Texas A&M. He's not going to have to do nothing. Daddy O is a complete stud. I just want him at Vandy so I can cover him myself.
Dude, that was so awesome.
Oh, man. I'm Coach O. I mean, Frogman should be a superhero cartoon based on Coach O. Absolutely. Jimbo Fisher is living that life now. Right. Exactly, yep. Sean. Exactly. Yep. We'll have a heck of a crawfish down and that's him.
So, George,
Sarah says, how do I get that contract? That's the life. Go ahead.
So, George, I got to ask you.
What?
Do Coach O saying that he's the head coach at Vanderbilt?
Oh, I always want to be the coach at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's such a storied university, and they gave me $100 million. Oh, I couldn't turn it down, So, Coach O's back, baby. Back. It's actually better right now there. Because I realize he doesn't have as much of this going on. It sound like he doesn't sound like Mr. T as much as I was giving him Mr. T.
I feel like he changed his voice up a little bit on purpose.
Yeah. Well, when I saw that ad, I was like, wait a minute. Did he get a voice coach? That needs to be another segment. Yeah. We need to figure out if Coach O got a voice coach.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. There's a lot of people that think he's probably going to go out west, maybe take up the defensive coordinator position at USC. That would be interesting. I don't think he gets back in football, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's going to stay living his life in his mansion and getting $17 million from LSU, and he ain't going to care.
All right. So
what?
I'm going to break the news to everybody. We did seek out a social media manager yesterday.
Oh, boy.
And we selected none other than Miss Sarah Hancock. Miss Sarah, I do have to tell you, yes, you signed up for impressions. You're going to have to click that video of George talking like Coach O and post it on Twitter so I can share it to all the Vandy fans.
That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one, I think.
Yep.
George,
back at USC, yeah. Hey, Hunter believes it. Hunter believes it. He will say, "The hell is that whistle noise during the game?" I had to do it. Oh my goodness! Get these clowns. Preacher will love it. Oh gosh, yeah, I bet he will. Who the hell keep doing that? Huh? Don't make me come up there.
Oh
my goodness, is great. I love it. I love it. All right, moving on. I make no promises. I have been trying for a year. Well, you're not. Get these clowns in order, Sarah. No, won't get it. I thought this was interesting. Did y'all know that Toledo Stadium? Reminder that Toledo Stadium features an actual rocket that is angled to land at Bowling Green's 50-yard line. Your rivalry could never. It says, "Do we have a problem?"
I mean,
to be honest, I actually knew that, and it is one of the coolest things in college football rivalries. It absolutely.
Oh man.
I mean, the elk in the bathroom has got to be the top of them all.
That was wow.
My fear is that Colin's going to go out and get some groceries or something. He's going to come back with an elk carcass in his apartment.
Yeah.
After talking about the game tonight.
That would get Chris back in the stadium. AJ and Steve love it.
Stay tuned, Seth. I got news.
Sarah says that's hilarious. Every rivalry should have something like this, not just a trophy. I'm telling you, there's not another rivalry that I know of that a rocket is literally angled professionally, that if they set it off, it would hit right in the 50-yard line. You talk about a rivalry, boy. They hate each other. Toledo and Bowling Green, like, they see each other on the street and, like, they're trying to, like, box each other. It's like a Crip versus Blood kind of situation. It's wild. It's a wild rivalry.
I don't know if you saw it last night. Tulsa and Toledo
have
a nasty one. The kid from Toledo tried to make that kid from Tulsa unalive last night.
Yeah, they have a nasty deal there. Battle of I-75 making the Israel route. Oh my goodness. Be glad it's a yellow and blue rocket instead of red. Oh, Lord. Jeez. Seth coming in hard. Okay, this one was – I thought this was – well, no, you know what? Let's do this one first. Uncle T send money. Cody uploaded this. I thought this was really funny. With the whole – they need some more money, man. Yeah, for real. I thought this was really interesting. There is a high school golfer actually named Happy Gilmore that has officially signed with Ball State. And I wish I had their video because they had Ball State's social media team understood the assignment. They photoshopped an entire cutout of him on the Happy Gilmore cover of the movie.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes. Yes. And they actually got him to try to run and hit a golf ball in the promo. I wish I had it, but I don't have it.
So I don't know if people, if you don't, you should follow Adam Sandler on his TikTok account because at random, he will bring back past characters from movies and he'll reenact them in videos. He's done the Happy Gilmore recently and he still has the swing, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
recently, though, Henry Winkler has a new book out, and he's been promoting it, but he's calling him Mr. Coach Klein in it. And so he literally found like a statue of Henry Winkler, and he was like trying to talk to him. And then he was like reading the book, and he was asking Mama if she knew that he was the Fonz and stuff like that. It was really good.
I don't think the kid has fought Bob Barker yet, but Bob Barker would have to come back from the grave. Rest in peace. But
Barker would destroy him.
Oh gosh, yeah. Happy stands no chance. Chubbs may come back and help him though. You never know. He can get his other hand from that alligator. That's one of my favorite movies. I love Happy Gilmore.
I do too.
Sandler's show in Milwaukee is lit. Yeah, I bet it was.
One cool thing about Adam Sandler as well is if you go to his shows, it is easy to get an autograph from that man. He loves the fan. Yes.
I've heard that where at his shows he loves the fans, but if you ever catch him on the street, he don't want to be talked to. He don't want to be messed with. He's very unapproachable, and I don't blame him. He's in his personal element, but still.
I mean, to be fair, he dresses like he's homeless on purpose, and I love it so much.
Keep away from people. Yeah, he does. And last but not least, this will segue. Well, you know what? No, Chris, I want you to do something.
Go ahead and do this one.
Well,
because
okay, we can.
There's a mistake on it. There's a mistake on it. And
on this?
Yes.
Okay, what's the mistake?
It doesn't have bye week versus Vanderbilt. With bye week has got a cupcake this week, man.
Hey, I actually hear bye week is a 6-point favorite in that game.
Actually, no, Cody, Vandy said 23-point favorite.
Yeah, bye week is favored by 23 right now.
Yeah. So it's SEC Cupcake West to those who observe cupcakes. We all have cupcakes this week as we get ready for rivalry week.
All right, but here's the question though: of these teams, which one is most likely to get a scare in their game? I'm saying Mississippi State.
I think Southern Miss straight up beats them.
You think so?
Yes.
It would not surprise me. My thing is, okay, I know we have, and this is just something I want to throw. Go ahead.
Southern Miss has got Frank Gore Jr. Remember, I mean,
right? Yeah,
they actually have a player,
and they cannot stop the run to save their life. So, I love the Sandler's got little tap tap taparoo, tap taparoo. Get your whole ball. Oh my goodness, I love it. Tap tap taparoo. Anyway, I know that these cupcakes are supposed to be like before rivalry week, but I have a question. Who the heck does LSU play at the end of the year? This year?
Texas A&M.
Oh, is that y'all's rivalry? Now?
Apparently.
I like what the thing. Who is LSU's rivalry? Okay, you got Alabama. Okay, because that kind of just came recently because of recent success. It used to be us because we used to meet every year at the end. We
literally have a damn trophy.
Yeah, we have the boot, for God's sake. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
No, I know, but the actual golden boot trophy, like.
And no, we did not steal the name.
No, we did not.
So I have to tell that to people, by the way. People at my work, they ask me, like, hey, are y'all doing that because you're LSU Arkansas fans? I said, no. Has nothing to do with that, actually. It's just a coincidence. So I explained the broom, and then they're like, oh.
Yeah. Well, it's still football. It's one of the best trophies ever.
Absolutely.
Opinion. But, like it cheapens it to me. Right, Cody? I mean, I know that we haven't been as successful, but, why did they change that? It used to be,
it just doesn't have that feel anymore. It's another game.
You had a cupcake, and then you had rivalry. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. You got Auburn, Alabama. You got all these different teams doing their rivalries. LSU and Arkansas used to be that. Now it's Arkansas plays Missouri, which is not a rivalry. It's a forced rivalry. And LSU plays A&M. What is that crap? Anyway.
Yeah.
The Pig of Rosedale is best. I don't know what that is. Pig of Rosedale. Tennessee versus Vandy. Okay,
I know what that is.
I don't know what that is. I
know what Pig of Rosedale is.
Okay, what is
Iowa versus Minnesota.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Thank you. Chattanooga taking down the detergent. Tennessee versus Vandy. Yeah, I mean that is a New Mexico State will beat Auburn.
Any would vanish for the rest of the season.
Remember, New Mexico State is 8-3.
8-3.
True.
My God. All right. Let's do this real quick because we've run over really a lot because of all the problems we've had. So real quick, let's jump into Bone Crushers. And Chris, I'm gonna let you do yours. I know you have it, and then we'll move on to our previews. Let's do that real quick. Or go for it.
All right. So I'm going to scroll back. I'm going to bring up this comment.
I have it hard for you.
Seth, I appreciate the comment. And let me read it. It says, boys, it pains me to say Lee has Lee's back, and I'm at a loss for words. Way late getting on, but my faith in the Doors is completely gone. Chris, you may have touched on this. This is where I touch on it. But there will be no fans in the stadium next year, like there were many anyways. So let me address
your brain.
So let me address this.
Did he what?
Hack into his brain? Because, man.
I know. Seth and him are like.
Candace Lee, you deserve to be fired right along with Clark Lee.
Yeesh.
And let me explain. What little bit of a fractured fan base that we have left at Vanderbilt University, there was a little poll conducted on Twitter this week. 69% of the fans say they will not attend a single game next year.
Golly.
Another 18% say they plan to attend 2 or fewer games next year. That's 87% of your fan base have said they will attend 2 or fewer games next year if changes are not made. And for our athletic director to come out and say Clark Lee will be our head coach next year, knowing that the team has regressed, knowing that changes need to be made, you deserve to be fired. If you're a Vanderbilt fan and you're watching this, it's time to go higher. We have a chancellor that said that athletics will be the front porch of the university. Well, guess what? Your football team sucks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're opening 2 brand new facilities next year, and you got 87% of your fans saying they're not going to go to games. It's time for a dose of reality. And Chancellor Dearmeyer, if you want athletics to be the front porch of your university and you want to attract the best coaches, get rid of your athletic director, get rid of your current coach, and go spend some of that money that's sitting there in a vault and go get you a real head football coach that can fix this mess on West End. I'm done.
Vandy Chris out.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, Seth says she is all about mediocre coaching. Not only good thing she has had is Corbin. It's pathetic she is getting away from it. But we got a new stadium, whatever. Nobody will fill seats other than opposing fans. Yeesh. I mean, that's a big deal. Big Ten backers say, can you autograph the turkey hat and send it to us to be a prop on our show, Cody?
I could do that, but I fear my daughter would kill me.
Yeah.
So mad when she sees I was wearing this tonight.
Oh man. It says I emailed Ingram. Maybe he can do something. Well, Seth is really on top of it, man. He wants action. He wants it now.
Now, 2 weeks ago, I dropped emails for John Ingram, for Candace Lee, for Chancellor Dearm. I dropped all of those emails in multiple Vanderbilt groups on Facebook. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, share them here.
Candace Lee just ain't getting the message.
Right. I mean, let's real quick, let's hear from Bones Coffee, and then we'll be right back, and we'll get these recaps done and get out of here. Be right back.
Sound the alarms. Something monstrously merry is coming to town. Introducing Bones Coffee's newest batch. Inspired by the giddy ghouls of Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Nice work, Bones Caddy. Rich premium coffee infused with frighteningly festive flavors. The Pumpkin King, Santa Jack, Frog's Breath, Rough Weather, and Mudslide Boogie. Can't make decisions by yourself? Order them all. Bones also makes a perfectly marvelous gift for everyone on your nice list.
And your naughty list.
Click the link to get these hauntingly holly jolly flavors delivered right to your door. And it's not just for holidays. Bones has coffee concoctions for all 365 days of the year. Bones Coffee and Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's terrifyingly tasty. This year, Bones Coffee will be yours!
Oh, Chris. Boy. Oh, look at here. God bless me. Who is this guy? Look at here.
I have.
From Twitch, Mufasa. Good to have you, my friend. God bless you. It was that in regards to the Bones Coffee lady? I'm just curious because she is a heck of a lot more good looking than us three are. The humblest badass alive. All right, good to have you, my friend. Let's
Cody,
get into these recaps, Cody. No, he's not. Cody,
hey,
take us to these recaps. Let's roll.
All right. So before I do the recaps, I would like to say that. Currently, Colorado and Washington State are playing.
Not recaps.
But Colorado and Washington State are currently playing. The loser of that officially takes sole possession of last place. And
thanks, sir.
Right now, Washington State is up 14-0 after Shadur Sanders was fumbled. He got sacked for a loss of 11 yards, fumbled it. They recovered for a touchdown. So just keep an eye there. That being said, let's get into these previews, boys.
Do it.
We're going to start out with Texas and Iowa State.
Yeah.
So Texas lost Jonathan Brooks, their star running back. They have two backup running backs that are, pretty decent, but it's a huge drop-off from Brooks to them. This is going to be a hard test. It really is. Iowa State's actually, they're actually a pretty decent team. They're ranked higher up in the Big 12. So, do I say upset alert? Maybe not, but definitely keep an eye on that game.
Yeah.
So as somebody that kind of follows Iowa State, not a big fan of it, but I do follow them. They typically struggle against Texas for some reason. Don't know why. Just always been the case. There have been times in the past few years that they played them close, but for some reason Texas just has their number. Texas should be on upset alert because Iowa State is capable, but I don't expect it to happen.
Don't expect it to happen, huh?
For sure.
I think Texas. Texas just has. I don't know. They put it together this year. It pains me to say. Iowa State's gonna try and make it close, but I don't see them getting anywhere near the upset that happened before. So I say Texas wins big.
Okay. Next game is gonna be North Carolina Clemson. This is weird to me because Clemson obviously has had a very down year. but yet they are actually favored in this game. The line started out at 4.5, and last I checked, it was at 7. So I even went on Twitter and told Joe De Leon, who was on our show Monday, that I thought that was crazy, and he agreed with me. And I think that I actually think North Carolina wins this game. I just don't have any faith in Clemson's offense at this point.
No.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, their defense is pretty solid, but I don't see North Carolina losing this one.
I'm 100% with you. I don't see North Carolina losing this one either. There's too much going on with Clemson. I'm not going to rule it out, but I don't know. It's an interesting deal. But Clemson has been really roller coastery, and North Carolina has not. So
sure.
Go ahead, Chris.
Just when you least expect it, Clemson rises to the occasion. I think Clemson holds serve in this game.
Okay.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Got to play devil's advocate.
All right.
Next.
This next one is a trap game, and it is going to be Florida and Missouri. Which is funny that comment was there because technically you take Tigers at home in this one as well.
I saw that. I was like, hey, wait a minute.
The reason I call this trap game for Missouri is because Missouri is still sitting in a really good spot, even after losing to Georgia and everything. For me, I saw what Florida can do, and I think that they might have a little bit of maybe a confidence boost with them. Even though they lost to LSU, they played really well.
Right.
And I don't want to call an upset in this game. I think Missouri does win, but I think this one's going to be a lot closer than it should be.
I disagree. I honestly think Florida has lost their way. They look discombobulated. They don't look – because they lost to Arkansas. They look like all confidence has gone away.
Yeah.
Blown out the window. They haven't been playing well. They haven't been playing like they normally have. Graham Mertz has not thrown the ball well. It's been very odd. There's like just the floor just fell out from underneath them. I think we might see another blowout from Missouri, as they did from to Tennessee, and I think it may be another 36-17 game or some crazy number. Chris?
There's nothing for Coach Drink to be petty about this week. However, I got the Tigers winning 31-21.
31-21.
They're just a better team.
Okay. All right.
Cody Schrader. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 200 yards against that defense.
So there is a cat in my kitchen, but that is Demon Cat.
That's Demon Cat over there. That's not a Missouri Tiger you hear. That is absolutely Demon Cat over in Vandy Chris's.
Every time Demon Cat meows, my cat's ears perk up. Every time.
Every time.
All right, next game, a big one in the SEC. Well, it's not as big as it should have been, but it's still pretty big. Georgia, Tennessee. It's going to be ugly.
I mean, how do you come back from 36-18 wallop from Missouri and then have to play Georgia? And I get you're in Neyland. Crazier things have happened. Like
that don't matter at this point.
I don't think so, because Georgia honestly has absolutely looked the part. And I'm going to say this. If they don't three-peat, it's their fault. There's nothing in their way. And it'll be a historic thing, and we'll have to hear people barking at children for many, 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 many months after this happens. So I get it. It's frustrating. But Georgia looks like Georgia should. And, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't 42-10. Just a monster win in Neyland. and just dominate. Chris, honestly, I know you want Tennessee to lose 100-0. So,
well, I don't want them to lose too bad because then they're going to be angry next week, which is UT hate week for me. But that being said, what happened in Missouri was a complete shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Tennessee would play them well because let's be real, Tennessee has one of the best running back rooms in the country. I mean, their top 3 running backs can play for any team in the nation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that they were shut down the way they were and looked as bad as they looked. Ugh. I don't know what's something going on in Knoxville. I haven't put my finger on it yet. There's something going on.
Yeah, there's some people that are pretty upset. Sarah says maybe they throw golf balls.
And I don't think it's the people being upset. I just think they're to come out and lay an egg like that.
Yep.
Tells me there's locker room issues.
You're probably not wrong. Oh, we had to sit with the cons for my daughter. She wants to go to Rocky Top. Ooh, sad.
Now, one thing I do want to point out, though, about this game, this is the last thing I got to say about it, is
it's called that.
I think this game right here with a big performance will earn Carson Beck a trip to New York.
You think so?
Yes. I don't think he has a chance to win the Heisman, but I think he will be – I think he'll be top 5, top 6 in it and get an invite.
Maybe. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I think only top 3 goes.
Oh, is that how they do it? I always thought they brought the top 8 and only top 3 were featured.
No, I think it's top 3. Only top 3 go.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, then disregard my comment.
I don't know for sure. Maybe they changed it. I have no idea. We're not sitting here. Maybe somebody in the comments know. I don't know.
Big Ten backers, help us out. Who goes to the Heisman ceremony?
I think it's just.
I thought it was the top 3.
Well, we're all sitting in front of a computer. We could absolutely just look it up, but we're lazy. So that's just what it is. UT riding another low next week, and Vandy wins. Maybe I'm high on meth. I don't know.
Dude, if Vandy wins next
Beck is dating the Bones Coffee.
Carson,
listen.
Carson, you stay away from her. I'm coming to get you if you're dating her, dude.
If the Bones Coffee girl goes with Carson Beck, the ugliest quarterback in college football, I don't know what to say. He still is regarded as the ugliest quarterback in college football.
The bait didn't help him none.
Nah.
Poor guy. Depends on votes.
He tried to get that Steckquavius fade going on, but it didn't help him.
It didn't help at all. All right, next. What we got next?
All right, this is the game of the week. The one I look forward to. Washington Huskies, Oregon State Beavers.
Yeah, a Husky and a Beaver walk into a bar. That's the name of the show.
It's time for some Beaver analysis with
Bisco B.
That is my favorite video. I don't know why, but the way
because it catches me off guard every time.
Yeah, and the way that he voiced it was just perfect.
Yes. Time for Beaver analysis.
So one thing, this is something that may shock some people, but Oregon State is actually a 1-point favorite going into this game, and
it's at home.
I love it. So I've mentioned this guy on the show multiple times, Damian Martinez, running back at Oregon State. He's my favorite running back in football. Love watching the dude play as a sophomore. I watched him a lot last year and was just like blown away by his running style. And I've got to say, I actually could see Oregon State pulling this one out. And if they do, it makes the Pac-12 a mess.
It'll just be a conglomerative atom bomb of messes.
Yes, because, see, here's the thing. Okay, so if Oregon State wins this game and Washington, with Washington having that one loss, Oregon then has to play Oregon State. Here's the kicker. If Oregon State beats both those teams, Oregon State's in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They control their own destiny.
Are they in with 3 losses, though? I don't think so.
Well, actually, there was another scenario, and I want to do this real quick because I know our show's about to end, and I like to be the guy that keeps this going. Of course, my phone's going to try to freeze right when I want to do it. There it goes. 21-0 now, Washington State. So the weird scenario is this. Arizona is the weird team in this because
Arizona is the cog in the wheel because of how well they're playing. Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing about Arizona. Okay, yes, they lost to Washington, but they did not play Oregon. If Oregon were to suffer another loss, that's a tie, and then that's when they go to that common opponent. If Oregon State were to beat Oregon, Arizona beat Oregon State.
That would be nuts. That would be nuts to see Fafita in the championship against I don't know who.
Maybe
So
I mean,
Cody's known me for 13 years.
It must be Oregon,
and he will attest to the fact every single year it gets to this time of the season, and I will post something on my Facebook about give me the chaos.
Yes,
give me the chaos. Yep.
And there's so much chaos that can happen because it's not just this conference. Big 12, same exact scenario right now.
Alabama knock off Georgia.
Stir in that pot, boy. Stir in that pot.
The biggest kicker, though, for the playoff committee would be if Alabama beats Georgia, Louisville beats Florida State, and then you have some weird chaos in the pack, and just everybody starts to lose. Oh, my gosh. I would love it so much. I want Louisville to beat Florida State so bad it's not even funny.
Yes.
But I want Kentucky to beat Louisville.
Yes.
Because chaos.
Yeah. It's it just is what it is.
How about this?
I look, here's hang on. Before I lose my thought. This year of college football has been a Twilight Zone mess. How fitting would it be to see just a jumbled mess of chaos at the end?
It'd be awesome.
I mean, it would just fit the narrative that we've seen so far, right? We need a 2006 finish to the season.
Yes.
Yeah. Oregon will beat Washington in the rematch. There you go.
How about this one?
What?
In the Big Ten, Michigan beats Ohio State, faces Iowa and Indianapolis, and the Hawkeyes show up and take down the mighty Wolverines without a coach, without a defensive coach, and with all the trouble going on in Michigan. And Iowa, with 2 losses, ends up winning the Big Ten championship with an offense that averages 7 points a game.
That would be the greatest chaos scenario ever. I'd be all for it.
I mean,
and the Big Ten backers they're feeling that.
God, that is just a crazy nutcase deal.
How can you win a conference championship with an offense that bad? And yet it can happen.
Finally, the saying of defense wins championships comes to light.
Yeah.
They say, bring it.
And boys, I'm ready because when it ends this year, we got a little bit of an off season, and then next year is a 12-team playoff. And I'm ready for that, man. I'm ready to see the craziness happen. More teams will have more to play for. I'm ready. So this is going to be a great ball game. It's going to be a good slate of games. And then it's rivalry week. I can't say that next week. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, that's about how I feel. All right. Well, that being said, that's our previews, right? You got them all out.
Previews.
All right. Good deal. Well, that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. I final thoughts on everything so far.
I think my final thoughts are this. Right now, America needs to unify. We need that common ground for the country to come together. and it's finally here, and it's in the world of college football.
Yeah.
Whoever thought that for one day of the year, the entire United States of America, outside of Michigan, would be Ohio State fans? It is beautiful.
I'm still not.
It's an interesting deal there. Yeah. Final thought, Vandy needs a clean house to restore my faith. Yeah. Chris, final thoughts?
On this, let me just say, AJ Swan would not be sitting on the bench. And our freshmen would be playing a lot because they're the best athletes on the team. And this stud wide receiver that everybody goes goo goo gaga over, named Will Shepherd, would be parked quick because he's quitting on the field. He jogs half the time. Don't get me started.
In Coach Chris, we Seth, you're egging him on too much, man. God, you're going to be assistant coach. Like, somebody needs to keep him in the reins.
Hey, Seth will be
my God, he'll go freaking nuts and just fire everybody, and then hire a high school athlete. Seth
is going to be my special teams coach, and we're going to lead the nation in punting because on third down we're just gonna kneel it and punt.
Ole Miss for Natty, Lane Kiffin for Coach of the Year, and Jackson Dart for Heisman. Hey, you homer!
But
what part did y'all go to today?
No,
but
that being said, Jackson Dart's coming back next year.
Jackson Dart is coming back. Yeah, we can definitely say that.
But I will say this: I may take the Pulaski, Arkansas approach, Pulaski Academy approach in Arkansas.
Okay.
They never kick.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Yep.
I know. Pulaski. They do.
Down,
You're right.
And when they kick,
it don't matter if it's 4th and 22 on the 24-yard line on their own 20. They're going for it.
And every kickoff is an onside kick.
Yeah. Yep. And they're successful
very successful.
They're successful like 67% of the time or some crap. Just some ridiculous number. Special teams because I'm special. There you go. All right. Well, that's the Golden Boot Podcast, everybody. Man, I'm good. I thought it would take about 30 minutes. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We've had a lot of really good stuff. We appreciate you guys always. As always, like, follow, share this broadcast with family, friends, even your enemies. So we all from all of us here at the Golden Boot Podcast, Brian Ferentz would be proud. Oh yeah, buddy. Follow us on TikTok, Golden Media Sports. Follow us on YouTube, Golden Media Sports Network. You can find us there. Questions? Email us at the Golden Boot Podcast at gmail.com, not Golden Boot. And Cody, what's our new website?
Oh, yes, goldenmediasports.com, where you can also message us on there. You can also see our sponsors and check out some really cool products that they offer. We have picked up a few new sponsors that we'll be introducing over the next few weeks. And website is pretty cool. We put our episodes on there and just keep you guys up to date. And, yeah, stay golden, my friends.
You buy any products that helps us out, that builds us, that goes straight to helping out the show, and we would be forever in your debt. So
for sure.
That being said, we appreciate you guys. Stay golden, everybody. We will see you Monday night, 8:30 Central, right here on the Dawgs Sports Network. Stay golden, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Or we'll see you again.